Hello everyone, my name is Clara Calendida Luz and I'm here to support you on your healing journey. Today I wanted to talk about, I think this is the foundation of everything. If you're not yet on your healing journey, but you're wondering if you have things you need to heal, this video is for you. This video I'm going to be talking about the 10 ways that you know you have trauma that needs to be healed. I'm doing this video because I did not know that I had trauma that needed to be healed. I knew I had trauma that was pretty obvious just looking at my life history. But I thought I was just fine. I thought, this is life. Why? Because when you're traumatized, this is how you grew up. It's normal because you haven't experienced anything else. Okay? This is the key, really. We all judge everything by our experience. And if you've had trauma, your experiences have been, abnormal, but they seem normal to you because it's the only thing you know. So I'm going to talk about these 10 things. And if you have some or all of these things, then I would encourage you to start looking at healing yourself, because I'm quite sure that you need to heal your trauma. And it's important, it's important that all of us that have had trauma and I don't know, like, I think everyone has had some degree of trauma. And it's not about comparing, like, whether you have more or less or whatever, but we all need to heal whatever has happened to us. But these things will tell you that you've had a significant amount of trauma, and so you especially need to be healing yourself. So the first thing, they're not in any specific order. It's just the way they came to my head. I love the first one, though, I have to say. I was such a classic example of this. The first way that you might have trauma to heal is that you're an extremely productive workaholic overachiever. Yes, I know that maybe sounds counterintuitive. You think, oh, if you've had trauma, you can't do things. No, you can, because you are dissociated and you are like a robot and you can do it all. And this was my life. Like, I'm not saying this to brag, I'm saying this to make a point, but to illustrate how overachieving I was. I graduated at the top of my high school class of several hundred people. I received a lot of scholarships, research grants. I won lots of awards. I was in my department, so I'm doing a PhD right now. In my department, I was like the poster child of, like, getting things done quickly. I moved on to candidacy. I defended my proposal in record time. No one had ever done it that fast in my department. Wow. Now I have, I'm close to the record of, the longest student. So there you go. Just to why? Because I'm healing my trauma. When you heal your trauma, you will temporarily lose the ability to be extremely productive. So I just have to warn you, it is important to know that healing trauma is very complicated, and it will, completely impact your life. But it's worth it, because in the end you will be able to again do work and again do things, but do them in such a more meaningful and important way. So that was number one. Number two, you have, certain body pains and illnesses that cannot be explained or are recurring, or some specific one, especially autoimmune diseases. This is the body trying to tell us that something is not okay. So anyway, I just want to say also, you might not have all of these. I didn't really have this one personally, but I know people who have. Although as a child, when I had my trauma, when my dad passed away, I did have recurring severe stomach aches. So You know, it could be stomach aches, digestion problems, headaches. And a third way is sleep issues. Sleep issues are huge. There's so many people have sleep issues, and it really is like an indicator that something is not going well for you. So that was 3. Number 4, I would love to be the person who could put like the numbers and the thing on the video, but I don't have that talent, that skill yet, so forgive me. So then the 4th one is you don't have boundaries, or you don't know what they are. So if you don't know what they are, I will explain. And I'm not joking. I did not know what boundaries were, and I didn't have any. I had none whatsoever. When you've had trauma, so first of all, what are boundaries? Boundaries are where, you know, you own responsibility for what you do, and you know what feels comfortable to you, and you're okay telling other people, this is not comfortable for me, please don't do this with me. You know, you let people know how to treat you, and you have boundaries. So I had no boundaries. I let my ex treat me in whatever way. My whole purpose was to like appease him so we'd have a peaceful family life, and his purpose was to suck all the life out of me. Okay. Otherwise known as narcissism and empath relationship, which I can go into in another video. But yeah, so boundaries. I remember one of my friends, my longtime friend, was once telling me, you know, maybe a decade ago, about how she struggled with boundaries with her mother. And I was like, oh, my boundaries are fine, I have no problem. But really, I had none. There you go. So I still struggle with boundaries. It's a work in progress. Boundaries are related to another symptom, which is you don't value or love yourself enough. If you don't value yourself enough, you're not going to have boundaries, because you just feel like your worth is tied up to this other person. So you might have a codependent relationship. And not valuing yourself, not loving yourself, is a sign that you've had trauma, that you didn't get the love and valuing you needed as a child. I forget what number I'm on, but because I didn't number them, so forgive me. But the next one is, so the next few have to do like this. A lot of these have to do with relationships. Some of them have to do with yourself, and some with relationships. So another sign is that you're in toxic relationships. And I mean, what else is there to say? No, just kidding. I mean, you know, the people that we attract into our life mirror where we're at. And if you're attracting toxic people, I'm sorry, it must mean there are some issues that you need to resolve. And absolutely, that was me. So that was the next one. Let's see. Okay, another one that's related to relationships is that you're either very needy or an anxious, or too independent, or both. This is about attachment styles. You know, I'll make another video on attachment styles, but to say that if you here, I just want to say, if you've had especially childhood trauma, but even later trauma, I realize some of my trauma came from being raped, that like messed up my whole attachment style. But you know, you're either a person who was trying to get your parents' attention and didn't get enough, so now you're this anxious, needy person in the relationship who always needs reassurance, who has trouble regulating their own emotions. Or you didn't get in, you were kind of neglected as a child, or abused or witnessed abuse, and so you're very independent. You had to take care of yourself, so now you have anxiety when you get too close to people, so you're overly independent. I met this guy like a year ago who told me, like, I don't feel the need to have any relationship, and it runs in my family. You know, my aunt has been single forever, and she's so happy, and I'm happy. And I was thinking, like, yeah, or maybe you're kind of disconnected from yourself, and you feel you don't need anyone, and it's kind of a problem. Anyways, aside. So yeah, then the next one, the next one is about your emotions. This is related to the previous one, actually. So you're either, you might be kind of disassociated from your emotions. You have trouble expressing your emotions, even like knowing what you're feeling. So back to that like robot state, you're a bit like, you're very level-headed, and people kind of, in our society, we kind of praise these things, this particular thing. I mean, we praise people who are very efficient, who get things done, who are not overly emotional. The whole like moody woman is such a thing of like, something we don't want to be, or like society says we shouldn't be. But we are humans and we have feelings, and it's important to express them. So if you feel like you're fine all the time, I don't know. On the other hand, you might have the opposite problem, or like when you start to heal your trauma and maybe you don't realize that this is what's happening, you might go into a whole roller coaster of emotions, like an extreme, like huge joy followed by complete grief and depression. And this happened to me when I started healing my trauma, which I shared in my other video. So both of these are signs. I mean, I think the healthy way, I'm learning about the healthy way. It's like the first time I'm experiencing it. But it seems to me the healthy way is to have emotions, but to kind of have them in check. Like, I mean, yes, you will go up and down, and you'll have like challenging days and better days, but it won't be so extreme where like, and it won't, I feel like it won't shift so quickly, Like sometimes I'm in like this good place and my child does something and I like dive down into this bad place, and he's like, yeah, maybe you need to work on that. I agree. Like, anyways, I haven't figured all this out. I'm just working through it. So that's another sign. I think I'm near the end. Oh, I have 2 more. Okay. So the 9th one is that you're not connected to your body. So this is part of like also related to the previous one of being disassociated. Disassociation from emotions is really disassociation from yourself, from your body. So if you're feeling like, oh, I'm kind of, this is how I felt. Oh, I'm just a mind. I felt like I was just a mind. I didn't really feel hungry. I would only get hungry when I was like starving, and then I'd be like, oh, and then I was like about to faint, and I'm like, oh, I didn't eat for like 6 hours. I still have this problem, to be honest. I have trouble with food. Anyways. But being disconnected from your body, it's really important to connect to your body. It's where you feel things. When you're connected to your body, you can connect to your intuition, and you're a full embodied human being. This is what we are. So if you don't feel that way, you probably have to heal trauma. And the last one, I love this one. Wait, I have to find it. I have notes and I started talking about it in the wrong order. Oh yes, this one's great. Number 10. The number one way that you know you have trauma is you think you're fine. You think you're fine. I am not kidding. That is the number one way, because if you were actually fine, you would have problems and you would acknowledge them and you'd be like, okay, I'm working on this, I'm working on that. If you think you're totally fine, you are not fine. If you are, feeling like everybody else is the problem, like this person did that to me and that person, but I'm totally fine, I'm sorry. This is the number one, to me, indication that you have trauma that you need to work through and you are not fine. So please pay attention to these 10. I'm sure there are more. These are the 10 that came to my mind that have either I've witnessed in myself or in other people. And if you have others, please post them in the comments. I think it would be helpful to everyone. But these are the ones that I came up with. So if you have like a number of these, I would encourage you to please look into your trauma, look into healing it, and you're not alone, and you're here for a reason, and maybe it's your time to start healing. And if it is, I'm so happy for you. It's going to be difficult, but it's going to be the most important thing you do in your life. So thank you so much for watching.